Thank you, V Wrestling fans, for watching Last Stand pay-per-view. This is Michael Parker with the director's cut and bonus footage edition of Last Stand. We're here in a cluttered studio, a studio show that is up and coming. We're shifting stuff around. We have a lot of weapons and extra stuff here in the studio today. By the time we get this studio show up and rolling, this V Wrestling recap show, hopefully, if everything goes right, we will be having a V Wrestling radio show hosted here, a recap show. But here right now, we're in the studio filming this Last Stand pay-per-view director's cut, bonus footage, and extra information from the pay-per-view at Last Stand. We got a lot to talk about, so let's dive right into it. I want to talk about the CP versus Josh Davis match, in particular, which you will see below the director's cut. There's bonus footage number 1 and bonus footage number 2. Bonus footage number 1 is the eFed Gorillas footage that was intended for Last Stand pay-per-view that did not make it on the show in time. And below that is bonus footage number 2, which is the backup plan to, if the eFed Gorillas could not make it on in time, we had a backup plan to have the GM of V Wrestling, Sheriff, was going to go ahead and call a match and be on Last Stand, but even the backup did not make it to the show. So we don't waste any production value here in V Wrestling. We added into the extras. We add in the bonus footage of what we have available to our fans, and here I'm here to talk about why those things did not make the show, and also a few other key factors about Last Stand. The magical trash can in the fourth match will be talked about here in just a few minutes. But first, I want to talk about the reason why the eFed Gorillas were not on the pay-per-view. It simply comes down to deadlines. There was some problems initially of scheduling of it because eFed Gorillas was going through a change of a co-host, and we had an agreement with a co-host that was no longer available due to his job. I believe it was a time change of some sorts. But nonetheless, Gordon was unable to be a part of Last Stand whatsoever completely. And we did have a replacement for Gordon with the new co-host of the eFed Gorillas, but unfortunately he was going through some personal problems during the short week and short notice. There was only probably about a 3 or 4 day something was going on to where the backup co-host, for the lack of a better term, could not make it for a recording either. But I do want to give credit where credit is due. El Gringo Loco did come through. He was able to call the CP versus Josh Davis match, and I believe he did it with his own unique, awesome style. And if I had it my way, I definitely would have been able to fit him into the show. But when it comes down to making a production like this, it's just like a mini movie, and it takes a lot of time and effort from a lot of different people to come together to collaborate to create something like this. So when it comes down to it, deadlines are definitely needing to be met, and I didn't get the audio in time to actually include the eFed Gorillas in the show. So there were some confusion with being able to schedule 2 people on the mic at the same time to call the match, especially through the changing of the guard, I guess, with a co-host. So a little bit of a problem. We did get through with it. There is bonus footage because of it. But beyond that, there was also a backup plan to have Sheriff call the match, and this was more of a mistake on my part. I have a tendency to do things in a certain order, and unfortunately that kind of bit me in the butt with this. Audio is something that's done dubbed over later, and the audio was checked last, and it wasn't able to make it in time because there was actually a file transfer issue with it was in the wrong file type, and that wasn't caught until it was too late, type of deal. So that was fixed, but a day too late as well. It really came down to deadlines and problems, and it's unfortunate because I wish we would have never even had to go to a backup plan, but then it seemed like we were going to have to, so then we put it in order, and then it actually just blew up in our face anyway. So Tony Niles actually took back his table. He never left on the show. He called the match with his own great style, and I believe that all three of the people that ended up calling the match brought their own unique style, and I thought it was great how El Gringo Loco and Sheriff too both attempting to crack jokes and got me laughing and entertaining me while calling the match. So great job on both their parts. It's unfortunate that they had to take a backseat to a bonus footage, but nonetheless, I don't want to waste any material at all. If it's submitted, it will be used, unless, of course, for other circumstances, it could not be used. But for the most part, if it's intended to be on the show, and if it was late, now we know where stuff like that ends up. It ends up in the bonus features of a Blu-ray, of a DVD, or a section on a website that's not actually on the show, but in a separate category. So from now on, moving forward, we've learned a lesson here in V Wrestling with special guest announcers. There was a bit of leeway given, and I want to continue to do that in the future. Had we gone a route with inviting special guests on board, so we were able to give the Fed Gorillas 2 extra weeks prep in difference to everyone else's matches, which shortened CP and Josh Davis's actual playtime and ability to actually compete in an attempt to get them special guest announcers. And we sure tried to deliver them some special guest announcers, I'll tell you that much. It turned out to be a little bit of a mess, but at the same point, it was a learning experience, and I would do it again. I definitely would. I would actually ask El Gringo Loco if he would like to do it again in the future sometime. And honestly, we'll let the fans judge who called the match the best. I'm favored to El Gringo Loco because that's what I intended to have on the actual show itself. So I'm upset that Tony Niles called it. He did a great job at calling the match. El Gringo Loco also did, and Sheriff, both the guest announcers, Sheriff and El Gringo Loco, both threw in some comedy into it that actually got me chuckling, and I think they did a good job at trying, especially El Gringo Loco, because he was a foreigner that was jumped in on the mic, having to call a match, never did it before. He had limited notes on what the recent happenings were in the league, so. Good job to El Gringo Loco for, at the end of the day, still fulfilling obligations with a big cluster mess. Even though we tried to figure it out the best as possible, it turned out to be a mess. But at the end of the day, he still delivered. Props go out to the EFED Gorillas radio show for still getting something out to V Wrestling fans, still delivering. We're able to make this director's cut along with this bonus footage. Thank you again for tuning in here to the V Wrestling Recap Studio as we are filming this director's cut bonus footage. So moving forward, I don't want to talk your ear off about the actual CP and Josh Davis match, but that was the focus point of this director's cut, just to talk about it. But a little bit more on it. El Gringo Loco, he actually at the end of his match called out a mistake on our creative team supplied, since this match was rushed and we had to give it out early, so to give that extra amount of time that I talked about previously, the ability to do that was to actually have to go through the creation process, the render process, and the upload process all for that single match, and that all needed to be produced, like I said, 2 weeks early. And yeah, stuff got rushed. El Gringo Loco actually calls out this random trash can at the end of the match. There's a magical trash can, and it's right at the end of the match. There's CP going for the game over. He's going to close it with a 1-2-3, and there's just a trash can in the ring. There's no reason for a trash can being in the ring besides when there's some switching between standard definition and high definition, SD and HD. There's a little bit of a process that takes place, and honestly, the wrong footage was used. The wrong game over with the 1-2-3 was used. There was footage of one with a trash can and one without. So that got produced by accident, released, and the worst part is that I just sit there and look at it for weeks and just wait for people to call this match, knowing that there's a mistake on it, and there's really nothing that can be done about it. So our first major, huge mistake in a Veer Wrestling production actually happened to be on our biggest pay-per-view to date, which is sad. But at the same time, I want to call out the mistake. I don't. It's just a mistake, and I think it's funny that after talking to Sheriff El Gringo Loco, uh, discussing about the magical trash can, really, since this was immediately from everyone that called the match that it should have been just a little bit of a storyline or a shtick where a fan bum rushed the ring and threw a trash can in the ring towards the wrestlers, and that's why there was a trash can sitting there. And I think, looking back, that probably would have been the best quick fix at fixing that mistake of this random trash can. There wasn't a trash can used in the whole entire match, and then at the very end of the match, there's a trash can in the ring, and it was just a matter of a problem is we had different. And during the transformation from standard definition, high definition, the wrong footage was clicked. It's a simple matter of clicking a file, and the wrong file was clicked. And here's the end result: a colossal meltdown of a bad ending to a great match and a big hyped event. But nonetheless, I talked to both handlers, and neither one of them are upset about the trash can. I mean, I wouldn't be myself personally. I'm upset and disappointed that there's this magical trash can that all of a sudden it kind of lets the whole production down. It just makes it look tainted. The whole pay-per-view. I mean, if a fan saw that and it stuck out like a sore thumb, why would they continue watching the rest of them? It just didn't make sense. And instead of hiding behind it and trying to act like it never happened, I'm sitting here pointing it out and making a commitment that something like this should never happen again. And I hope it never happens again, and that we'll never have to discuss a magical trash can again. But nonetheless, the magical trash can happened at CP versus Josh Davis, a colossal meltdown of guest announcers for the match, and we made some changes in the director's cut bonus footage. If you watch the El Gringo Loco, the eFed Gorillas edition, I actually do my best to go back and edit the footage. I didn't put in the real footage that we wanted. I went ahead and left it, but then edited it, seeing what I could have done if a little bit more work was involved with the footage that was the mistake footage. If I would have tweaked it a little bit more or noticed that the trash can was even present, I believe what you see at the bonus footage 1 where the eFed Gorillas are calling the match, you will notice that you'll see some cuts to the announcer table, and you'll see El Gringo Loco and Gordon at the table, rather than focusing in on this sore thumb of a trash can sitting in the ring that was never supposed to be there. So it's a shame, but you can look at the different footage of that match. You can watch the original Last Stand pay-per-view. I believe it's the 4th match. Yes, CP versus Josh Davis. Tony Niles calls it. The footage is intact. The trash can is there. Tony Niles does not mention the trash can. And then if you flip over to the bonus footage 1 of the CP versus Josh Davis match with the eFed Gorillas, the trash can is hidden. So you'll see the normal footage, and then you'll see my attempt, the director's cut edition, of me trying to hide or just tuck away the trash can a little bit more, so the fans aren't focused in on it as much as they were on the live release. But then you also see on the bonus footage 1 where some of the footage is a little bit different, where we had an EFG cam, eFed Gorilla's cam that during the match would pop up and you would see the announcers at the table calling the match. And I thought that was a cool new feature that we were going to add in for the first time during the our guest announcers. And instead of just using it anyways on the Last Stand pay-per-view with Tony Nas, I decided just to go ahead and save it for maybe a future guest announcer, and we'll only use that special cam double footage setup for another guest announcer in the future. So you can go ahead and see a sneak peek of something that you'll see in the future by looking at the bonus footage one. You'll see it cuts to the EFG cam 3 times, and then when the magical trash can's supposed to appear, you'll see actually we switch back to a full shot of the table, and then a mini shot actually of the actual finishing move from CP to Josh Davis, the game over. So just a little bit of a difference, a little bit of a director's cut, a little bit of a switching around. I actually edited El Gringo Loco's audio during the Magical Trash Can too, because he actually says, "Whoa, wow, there's a trash can. I didn't see that before." Actually pointing it out, and I believed I wanted to with the eFed Gorillas footage, I wanted to try to tuck it away and toy around with it and try to hide it more. So you'll actually get a small edit of his audio where he replays. I repeat him twice, saying "game over." I believe it's twice. It might just be once, but he says "game over," and he just calls the actual finishing move. He repeats it rather than I deleted out the trash can lingo and replaced it with finishing move lingo. So take a look at that, and then if you go to the bonus footage 2, where Sheriff actually calls the match, he cracks a few jokes. There's one point where I believe it's CP. He takes a crutch from a fan, and Sheriff jokes that lady is going to need that to get out of here, that she's going to have to hobble out of here or something. Just fun stuff like that going on. The Sheriff bonus footage number 2. I didn't change anything. It's the exact same footage as you would see in the actual released version of Last Stand. No, not much toying with the cameras or toying with the audio. It was more so you just see Sheriff's entrance, him walking down to the ring, and then him taking over the announce table and calling the match. So the bonus feature footage too isn't as edited as much. It's just more so Sheriff getting his audio and his bonus feature on there. So thank you for listening to V Wrestling's uh, director's cut bonus footage of Last Stand director's cut bonus footage. Thanks for giving it a listen. This is a little bit of a preview to maybe what a V Wrestling recap show will sound like. But other than that, I want to thank all the fans for watching, listening, and voting on our shows with our new voting on each match ability. Only at VWrestling.com do you get to interact with your wrestling. Thank you very much.